What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bullshot Darts. So preparing for a tournament is going to be the most important thing to make sure that you are throwing your best darts and in the best place mentally to throw your best darts at the tournament. So in this one, I'm going to go over some things that you can do to help prepare you for your next darts tournament. But first, guys, if you are not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button before you go. The more Bullshot Darts you watch, the more 180s you'll hit. Drop the video a thumbs up and also go check out bullshotdarts.com. All right, so the first thing we're going to get into here is I'm going to start with an analogy. I don't know if it's an analogy, but not darts related. Think about fighters. So there's two different kinds of fighters. There's the fighter that only really trains for training camp to get ready for the fight. And then there's the fighter that is training year round that is always ready for the fight. So the first fighter, he might not take a fight on 2, 3, 4, 5 days notice because he's not going to be ready. Whereas the fighter that is training every single day, he will take that fight on 1 day's notice because he's always prepared. So I want you to take that mentality into your darts practice here, because the first thing I'm going to talk about is making sure that you're practicing enough. You know, practicing is the most important thing when it comes to darts, and you want to always make sure that you're prepared, because the last thing you want to do is be 1 week away from a darts tournament and be like, oh shoot, I have not been practicing that much. I have to get so much good practice in this week. Because when you do that, that's going to put a lot of pressure on you going into the tournament, and you're not going to be in the best place physically, and you're not going to be in the best place mentally. Now, of course, if you haven't been practicing, you have to get in a lot of practice before the tournament. But by staying ready, you're always going to be ready. So my number one recommendation, it's not even a recommendation, it's just fact, to be prepared for tournaments is you need to be practicing more and having consistent practice. So I uploaded a video talking about finding the best time to practice darts. So if you're having a hard time finding time to practice, make sure you go watch that video, because I give tips in there that will guaranteed give you time to practice more and stay ready for these darts tournaments. So that's the number one most important thing. Now, the next thing I talk about for preparing is don't overthink the darts tournament. I am so guilty of doing this, and it's something I've really been working on lately, and I feel like it's getting better. But I used to put so much pressure on myself leading up to darts tournaments. I would write on my whiteboard, like, this tournament is this weekend, like this tournament is this weekend. And I would look at it every single day, and at the time, I would get pumped up. It's like, yeah, I got this tournament coming. I'm going to go throw some darts and get ready for it. But the thing is, it felt good at the time, but then when I would get to the tournament, I realized, like, oh shoot, I put way too much pressure on myself to throw good here. And those are the tournaments I've always struggled the most with, are the ones that I overthink. So the last thing you want to do is overthink your darts going into tournaments, and just always, always, always remind yourself that you're at the tournament to have fun. So like I said, that's something that I've struggled with a lot in the past, and I feel like I'm getting better. So I still write my darts in my calendar. I look at it and I get excited for them, but I just think like, oh, cool, I got a darts tournament coming up. Like, I can't wait to go have fun at that darts tournament. So stop overthinking and stop putting pressure on yourself. The next thing we're going to talk about here is sleep. And I know we're talking about sleep in a dart, being prepared for a darts tournament, but sleep is like the most important thing for any human. So to make sure you're going to throw your best darts, you need to make sure you're getting good sleep. So when you're out at these tournaments, do whatever you have to do to get good sleep. Whether, try to get to bed as early as you can. Now, I know that's not always easy, especially if you're playing like a blind draw on a Friday night or Saturday night and going into the events the next morning, but do everything you can to get the best sleep. And also, unfortunately, at darts tournaments, we find ourselves, drinking a little bit, and that's not good for our sleep either. But to help combat that, you can drink a lot of water before going to bed. It'll help hydrate you before going to bed, and it'll also help you wake up feeling more fresh. So really focus on your sleep. So if you've been drinking, make sure you drink a lot of water before you go to bed. If you take melatonin, maybe try taking melatonin, but do what you have to do to get your best sleep that you can at these darts tournaments, because good sleep is going to help your mindset as well as your physicalness, because if you're not getting good sleep, you're physically not going to feel ready for the darts tournament or mentally. So make sure you're getting good sleep at these tournaments. Next, the day of the tournament. Now, I'm going to do air quotes here, but you need to wake up. So that's different for so many people, what you have to do to wake up. But for me personally, I don't feel woken up until I have done something somewhat physically active. So I like to go for walks before my darts tournaments. I like to get in light workouts. Now, I'm not lifting heavy weights or anything, but just getting to a gym or a weight room, or even just some push-ups in the hotel room, or just walking, something that's going to exert some physical energy to help wake my body up, wake my mind up, and make sure that I'm ready for the tournament. And yes, it's going to help you physically, but mentally you need that too. It is not good to go into a tournament when you're not like woken up, because you're going to have more of a negative mindset. You're going to have a harder time focusing on your darts. So do what you have to do to wake up and have the most focus you can going into the day's events. Next, I can't even read my own handwriting. What's going on here? So once you have woken up and you're ready, once again, this is one of those things that's going to be different for everybody, but you need to figure out what your pre-darts routine is going to be. What time do you want to get to the venue? How much time do you want to spend practicing? How much time do you want to spend socializing? So once again, just going back to me, what I like to do, I like to get to the dart hall about 1 hour beforehand. That's always my thing, about 1 hour beforehand. And once I get there, I'll get on the dartboard and just mindlessly throw for about 15 minutes. What this does for me, it just warms up my body. I'll aim at targets, but I'm not overthinking the targets that I'm hitting. I could miss every single dart I throw in these 15 minutes and not care at all, because all I'm focused on is warming up my arm to throw darts. So never overthink the first 10, 15, 20 minutes of your warming up, because you're not warmed up. Your best darts are going to come when you've been throwing for 20, 30, 40 minutes. So I like to get in that time, and then once my body gets warmed up, I like to sit down and take a little break. I like to socialize a little bit, because that helps just keep my mindset good. So I like to warm up my body, throw some darts, and then socialize a little bit, hang out, and then from there, I'll throw for 10 or so minutes at a time, and then socialize for a few minutes. Throw for 10 minutes, socialize. Depending who I'm throwing on at a dartboard, I'll socialize while throwing darts. I think it's so important to socialize while you're at tournaments, because it's just going to help keep you in a positive mindset. When I'm at tournaments that I don't really know anybody, and my girlfriend's not there with me, and I find myself not doing much socializing, I just have a more negative mindset, because I'm not laughing with anyone. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm just kind of sitting there in my own little world. So I absolutely love getting in some good laughs before the tournament starts, because it just helps put me in a positive mindset. So that's basically it, guys. There's really not much to going into preparing for a darts tournament. I think it's more important to just always be prepared, regardless if you have a tournament or not coming up. And that's why I did my number one tip, was to, make sure you're practicing consistently, because then when that tournament comes, you don't have to worry about necessarily preparing for the tournament physically on the dartboard, because you're already going to be ready. So all these other things are to make sure to get you in a good spot physically and mentally to bring out your best darts at the tournament. All right, guys, let's get in one more throw here, and we'll wrap this baby up. Almost got a 180 earlier. Let's see if we can get one here. Oh, missed the second dart. That a 140, 140. Not too bad. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Some videos should have popped up over here. Consistent practice is the most important thing, guys. Make sure you're getting in that practice. Drop the video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. BullshotDarts.com to pick up your new favorite dart shirt. I'll see you on the next one, and shoot well.